Fais gaffe, tu prends tout le journal.
Mais non, ça va.
Ah, dis pas non, j'ai plus que la page des sports, et il est bien, lui.
Bon, allez, faut y aller, là, il fait jour. Allez, viens.
Oh. Et c'était une bonne idée de traverser l'Atlantique.
On va traverser l'Atlantique, direction la grande pomme, autrement dit New York. Et, bah tiens d'ailleurs, pourquoi New York est-elle surnommée la grosse pomme, la grande pomme?
Eh ben, si vous êtes déjà allé à New York, vous avez dû la remarquer partout, cette pomme. Dans les boutiques de souvenirs notamment, les tasses, les briquets, les cartes postales. La pomme, à New York, c'est un peu l'équivalent de notre coq en France, un emblème qui a traversé l'histoire.
Un jour j'irai à New York avec toi, toutes les nuits déconner. Et voir aucun film en entier, ça va de soi. Avoir la vie partagée, tailladée, percée par le ronron de l'air conditionné. Dormir dans un hôtel délaté, traîner du côté gay et voir leur corps se serrer, voir leur cœur se vider et saigner, saigner. Un jour, j'irai là-bas. Un jour, chat, un autre rat. Voici le cœur de la ville bat en toi, et tu m'emmèneras. Mais moi, un jour j'aurai New York au bout des doigts. On y jouera, tu verras. Dans les clubs il fait noir mais il ne fait pas froid. Il ne fait pas froid si t'y crois. Et j'y crois. Les flaques de peinture sur les murs en parfois la couleur des sons que tu bois. Et puis c'est tellement grand que vite on oubliera que nulle part c'est chez moi. Chez toi, chez nous quoi. Un jour j'irai là.
Just act normal. I'd ask you to do the same, but I'm afraid that ship has sailed.
Voilà la chimie, voilà la chimie.
Une che, une che, une che.
Une chemise.
Passagers, j'ai ma place à l'avant. Vous avez la vôtre à l'arrière. Restez à votre place.
Bon, comme vous le savez sans doute, j'ai eu Derek et pour le boulot qu'il propose, vous allez passer un test, le test du docteur Bruno.
Qu'est-ce que c'est cette histoire de test?
Attends, si tu calmes-toi, laisse-le parler, on va voir.
Oh mais attendez, j'ai bossé des années, c'était fin. J'ai jamais passé un test.
Ah non? Bon, assez rigolé, concentrez-vous. Voilà, ce test fait appel à votre mémoire visuelle. Est-ce que vous êtes prêts? Top chrono. Les fragments de dessin vont défiler devant vous. Vous devrez les assembler mentalement pour reconstituer le dessin tout entier.
Oh putain, ça a l'air dur là.
Mais c'est pas possible.
Oh l'autre, elle s'est super saquée.
Tais-toi, je réfléchis.
Ouais. Oh là 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 là.
Parfait.
Papillon Villette, regarde ici. Chemise. J'ai une larve de papillon Villette. Regarde-moi. Une larve de papillon Villette, pour toi tu me dis chemise, c'est normal. Normalement je devrais te tuer pour un truc comme ça.
Florido, todo es belleza, todo es cálido y fértil, como
J'arrête parce que ça sent le poulet cramé. T'es con mon bon vieux, ça me fait mal à la gueule.
Je sais, ça fait cliché. Mais c'est vrai que le 11 septembre a commencé comme n'importe quelle autre journée. Vers 8h30, on a reçu un appel.
On a été appelé pour une fuite de gaz dans la rue, je crois.
Angle de l'Ispenard et Church, une fuite de gaz.
Je n'en pense rien, on s'habille et on y va, c'est juste une odeur de gaz.
rêve.
Et je n'arrête pas de filmer.
Nous avons contrôlé la zone avec un détecteur. C'était la routine en quelque sorte. «
8h46. Il était 8h46 quand tout a basculé.
Exactement après la première explosion, alors que les grandes chaînes de télévision américaines retransmettent la catastrophe en direct, un deuxième avion, un gros avion de ligne, apparaît dans le ciel new-yorkais. Il se dirige tout droit sur la deuxième tour du World Trade Center, qu'il traverse de part en part, dans un vacarme épouvantable, dans un grondement énorme, comme vous le voyez sur ces images ralenties. 1 heure après la première déflagration, à 10 heures, l'une des tours jumelles s'effondre. Le quartier est plongé subitement, brutalement dans la poussière, les débris et la fumée. Quelques minutes plus tard, la deuxième tour va céder à son tour. Il est 10h30, le World Trade Center, symbole de l'Amérique, n'existe plus. Les témoins évoquent une vision d'enfer, une vision d'apocalypse. Le centre de New York va ressembler à un terrain vague.
And then the bottom end, people are saying it's actually shooting up to meet the middle. Is that happening, or what do you think?
Well, in the rest frame, it's staying at rest, so you don't need that explanation. And
it almost makes the most sense, just to consider in our frame of reference, nothing has changed at the bottom until the top of this slinky compresses.
True. Why not just take gravity out of the equation altogether, and let's see what happens to a horizontal slinky.
All right, let's have a look at that.
Okay.
This was prepared by Rod earlier.
When I hit the right-hand end of the spring, the left-hand end...
Bien, il est temps, Monsieur Ventura. On a un navire à prendre. Allez m'attendre en bas. Je dois conduire avant le départ une dernière expérience, pas piquer des hannetons.
You know what's been popular, Rod?
What's that?
Our Slinky Drop video.
That is popular, isn't it?
Yeah, do you want to do another Slinky Drop?
That's not a slinky. This is a slinky.
That is an excellent slinky. We should drop that one.
We want to see whether a long slinky, and we're 15 metres up here, whether a long slinky works the same as a short slinky.
Because some people on YouTube don't really believe that it's going to work the same, or they want to see it.
We're about to find out.
All right. I'll go film it from the grass, and you drop the slinky.
Fine.
Okay.
Tu la sens, ma grosse intelligence! Tiens! 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 Et voilà! J'ai exorcisé les démons! Tout danger est écarté! Bande de nazes!
Foutez-moi ça dehors!
Tous des nids! Allez, casse-toi! Tous des nids!
Regardez, c'est incroyable!
Il est parti pour relever le record! En avant la chenille est magique! Et hop! La chenille, et hop! Oh merde! Quelle l'immonde des veines. Il s'arrête sur l'avant-dernière. Il faut que je recommence immédiatement.
We made it outside. We made it about a block.
We made it at least 2 blocks, and we started running, floor by floor, instead of popping out.
It was if they had detonated.
Yeah,
if
detonated.
They were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
It's Slinky, for fun is the best of the toys. It's Slinky, the favorite of girls and boys. Everyone wants a Slinky, you ought to get a Slinky.
And boys and girls, more fun with Slinky pull toys, Slinky Caterpillar, Slinky Train.
Compression wave travels down the length of the spring and changes the tension at that end.
Yeah. So it's about the same thing as the Slinky, but obviously there's no gravitational force involved there.
Correct.
Cool. All right, well, thanks so much. We have learned a lot about Slinkies.
My pleasure.
Damn. Laura! Laura! Laura!
Voilà la chenille. Voilà la chenille.
Kills me not to know this, but I've all but just forgotten what the color of her eyes were, and her scars or how she got them. Has the telling signs of age rained down, a single tear is dropping through the valleys of an aging face that this world has forgotten.
dit coucou? Ah non, j'ai dit où? C'est presque pareil.
Diamonds on my neck.
Salut les gars, content de vous voir.
C'est beau cet endroit.
L'entrée de service se trouve sur le côté.
On peut pas passer par la grande porte.
On peut voir le magicien.
Oui,
le magicien, c'est bien ici qu'il habite, non?
Soyez les bienvenus à la cité d'Émeraude.
La chenille part toujours à l'heure. Accroche tes mains à ma taille pour pas que la chenille déraille. Tout ira bien et si tu veux, prie la chenille et le bon Dieu.
Si tu crois que je t'ai pas vu faire ta petite ingénue avec Pierrot dans le tunnel, allez, sois pas jalouse, c'est un copain, c'est tout. Tu sais que nous deux, c'est pas pareil.
À vous les pipelettes, lâchez-nous les avec vos histoires de nana.
You've got to be seen green to show that your stuff's laid. If you're not seen green, you better be wearing jade.
Déclaration du grand et puissant magicien d'or.
J'ai bien réfléchi, et j'en ai assez de ce verre. Jusqu'à nouvel ordre, la couleur sera le rouge.
Les 7 têtes du dragon vert, l'édition originale, unique à ce jour, des 7 têtes du dragon vert, publiée en 1933, sous la marque des éditions Berger-Levrault et la signature d'un certain Teddy Legrand, était depuis longtemps recherché des amateurs de mystère.
Les études de l'alchimie, ses travaux, reposent sur la 4e dimension, au fond. C'est là le secret de l'alchimiste. C'est cette 4e dimension dont d'ailleurs parle très nettement Saint Paul. La prof...
J'ai bien fait de parler de sacré, alors.
Ah oui, oui, bien sûr, le sacré, c'est la profondeur. La mort, et le sang, qui en est un peu l'opposé. Parce que le sang, c'est la vie. Et la vie, vous le faites couler, vous voulez qu'on le voie. Il y a la violence qui donne, qui entraîne, on sent le mépris de la mort.
Jusqu'à nouvel ordre, la couleur sera le rouge. Les tendances changent vite. La semaine dernière, vous étiez rose. Pour moi, le rouge est déjà dépassé. Je choisis l'or de la route de briques jaunes.
C'est la nouvelle couleur, les enfants.
What did George Bush know about the events of 9/11, and when did he know them? I'm not asking what George Bush, or Bill Clinton for that matter, knows or should have known in the weeks or years before based on this or that so-called intelligence report that he sees or should have seen about vague or not so vague alleged terrorist threats. No, my questions are much more restricted. I'm asking what specific advance information George W. Bush has about the first plane hitting the World Trade Center before it strikes. How does he get that information, and from whom? Why does he act as if he has far less information than the record shows he must have had? Initial news reports show the president informed of the gravity of the situation that morning. That famous whisper in the ear must be put into context. It takes place at 9:05. That's 1 hour and 5 minutes after the first hijacking, 45 minutes after the FAA is aware of multiple errant airliners, 20 minutes after the first aircraft smashes into the Trade Center, 18 minutes after CNN breaks into regular programming. In other words, a torrent of hot water churns under the bridge before whisper time. Researchers Jared Israel and Ilarion Bykov of EmperorsClothes.com write shortly after 9/11. The President of the United States travels with an entire staff, including the Secret Service, which is responsible for his safety. The members of this support team have the best communications equipment in the world. They maintain contact with, or can easily reach, Bush's cabinet, the National Military Command Center in the Pentagon, the FAA. Information concerning these alarming events must be shared with the President by his staff. Otherwise, they would be derelict in their duties. Not surprising, then, this report by ABC's John Cochran, traveling with the President, here speaking to Peter Jennings, not long after the President left his hotel. Peter, as you know, the President is down in Florida talking about education. He got out of his hotel suite this morning, was about to leave. Reporters saw the White House Chief of Staff, Andy Card, whisper into his ear. The reporter said to the President, "Do you know what's going on in New York?" He said he did, and he said he will have something about it later. His first event is in about half an hour at an elementary school in Sarasota, Florida. Something is very odd about the President's behavior. The President is aware, by his own words, that something serious is happening in New York. He additionally has to be aware of a great deal more about the situation. You have John Ashcroft later in the day at a press conference.
Immediately after the first report of a plane crashing into the World Trade Towers, numerous federal agencies coordinating with the White House mobilized their resources.
You have Vice President Dick Cheney, September 16th on NBC's Meet the Press. He tells host Tim Russert, the Secret Service has an arrangement with the FAA. They had open lines after the World Trade Center was... Then he stops himself. You have Laura Brown of the FAA. She attends hearings of the 9/11 Commission that bear on the aviation aspects of the day. Embarrassed by previous non-forthcoming testimony about the FAA's role, she sends an email in May of 2003 to members of the media whose business cards she had collected. Within minutes after the first aircraft hit the World Trade Center, she states in her email, the FAA immediately established several phone bridges that included FAA field facilities, the FAA Command Center, FAA Headquarters, DOD, the Secret Service, and other government agencies. The U.S. Air Force liaison to the FAA immediately joined the FAA Headquarters phone bridge and established contact with NORAD on a separate line. The FAA shared real-time information on the phone bridges about the unfolding events, including information about loss of communication with aircraft, loss of transponder signals, unauthorized changes in course, and other actions being taken by all the flights of interest, including Flight 77. So, in light of all this, here's the odd thing about George Bush's behavior. He and his staff could cancel or postpone an easily postponable photo op. But they don't. Why? On 9/11, Bush acts, and I emphasize acts, as if he doesn't know, as if he's not in touch. He proceeds with, or feigns, normality. Now to something else that's puzzling. At a town hall session in Orlando, Florida on December the 4th, 2001, here's the President's own account of the early morning of 9/11.
How did you feel when you heard about the terrorist attack?
Well, thank you, Jordan. Well, Jordan, you're not going to believe what state I was in when I heard about the terrorist attack. I was in Florida. And my chief of staff, Andy Card, well, actually, I was in a classroom. talking about a reading program that works. And was sitting outside the classroom waiting to go in, and I saw an airplane hit the tower of a TV. You know, the TV was obviously on.
The president tells us he sees, on an ordinary TV set outside a school classroom, the first plane hit the World Trade Center. He gives the oddly reinforcing detail that, quote, the TV was obviously on, unquote. He continues.
I used to fly myself, and I said, well, there's one terrible pilot. And it said it must have been a horrible accident. But I was whisked off there. I didn't have much time to think about it.
Didn't have time to think about it. As if his being told, time to meet the kids, Mr. President, stops all his thought processes concerning the remarkable image of what he's told us he's just seen on an ordinary TV, on top of all his knowledge of the unprecedented situation from earlier in the morning. But anyway, could George Bush have seen on ordinary TV the first plane hit the World Trade Center? No, he could not have. The footage of that first strike only shows up on television the next day, September the 12th, 2001. It was taken by a French documentary crew that happened to be in downtown New York. The Orlando Town Hall session takes place 7 weeks after 9/11, so it can be suggested Bush confuses the second plane with the first. But how to explain this? We've all seen Andy Card do that. None of this can ever be retracted. It is an interlocking historical record. Why go on at length about this? Because it may one day become the basis for criminal court proceedings. When we come back, is George Bush one of a group of conspirators involved with the attack? Welcome back to The Great Conspiracy, the 9/11 news special you never saw. George Bush is very convincing that he saw the first plane strike the World Trade Center the morning of 9/11 on regular TV. He provides supporting details, has repeated the story, and never retracted it. It has run on the White House website. Since he cannot have seen it on regular TV as he claims, it is not unreasonable to conclude that he sees the first plane on private, closed-circuit TV earlier that morning or in a private holding room later. Either way, I submit this could mean that someone had to arrange for cameras to be positioned and rolling to record the first plane strike. Those involved had to know precisely that the first plane was in the air, where and when the plane would hit. In other words, people closely associated with the President of the United States had very specific prior knowledge of the existence of the first plane, its destination, and its purpose. More clues. Bush's itinerary is well known. There are plenty of live news media reports concerning the President's whereabouts from the time he gets up that morning in his hotel until the time he arrives at Booker Elementary School, and how long it will take him to get there. Remember ABC's John Cochran and the half hour? Yet, the Secret Service, for at least a full half hour after he is notified that America is under attack, takes no steps to remove the President to safety. What happens instead? This footage also appears in Michael Moore's film Fahrenheit 9/11. No one claims this footage is doctored. The President continues reading a story about a pet goat for at least 7 minutes. One columnist absurdly suggests that the President doesn't want to alarm the children. But could the President not have said, "Kids, I'm sorry, I have to excuse myself. There's some important business I have to attend to. You just carry on with your reading, you hear?" Any reasonable analysis suggests that the President and his handlers share sufficient real-time and prior knowledge of the unprecedented events of that day. The public record shows the President and his associates fail to act appropriately, that they in fact create a fiction and play act their assigned roles. This evidence alone constitutes grounds for proceeding with an indictment on charges of conspiracy to commit treason.
Saluons cette pudeur extraordinaire.
Bien, il est temps, monsieur Ventura. On a un navire à prendre.
Allez m'attendre en bas. Je dois conduire avant le départ une dernière expérience, pas piquer des hannetons.
Regardez, c'est incroyable! Il est parti pour relever le record! En avant la chenille est magique, et hop, la chenille, et hop!
Oh merde! Quelle immonde déveine! Il s'arrête sur l'avant-dernière! Il faut que je recommence immédiatement.
Pardonnez-moi.
Damn! Laura! Laura! Laura!